Intellectually,
Okay.
that sounds amazing. But as a woman who is an emotional being, the whole thinking first part sometimes can be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge to us because we think with our hearts.
Well, I'm not asking you to take emotions off the table. I'm asking you to do is add something to it.
Right.
So you have emotions and you have thinking. And if we would allow thinking to go first, then we can let our hearts run them up.
Facts.
Yeah.
I agree with
That's
that.
that's important. So it's not against how you do it. It's just adding something to it.
That's what I pulled out from the book. That's what I gathered. So it's certain areas in the book that helped me,
Uh-huh.
especially when I was reading the relationship IQ part,
Right.
and how to I'll just turn right to it. How do we learn?
Right.
Issues on how we learn. How do we learn to not make the same mistakes again?
Right.
So, for me, I need to pause.
Okay. Then I'll take it from here.
Yeah.
Because how we learn, trial and error, or somebody told us. And if we're lucky, somebody modeled it for us, and then we have a better understanding. But when we have to create it ourselves, like being in a family where your mother was beat all the time.
Okay.
That's how I grew up. My mother was a fighter in her relationships. And so the positive things of a relationship I never saw. So everything I learned came via this. I had to unlearn what was given to me just to make it to zero so I can have a positive understanding of a relationship. So it limited me from receiving love and projecting love. So when I moved forward as a young man, gaining a wife and kids, I could not do something that I never saw before or I never had.
Right.
So it's my place to fill that gap. Remember I says things I've learned, and then I learned how to add things because of what I learned.
So basically, how you are able to share this information with us or give us advice
Yes.
on how we can be better, just for lack of a better word, how we can be better for ourselves was based on something that you learned from your experience.
Yes.
Before you got into a relationship and during your relationships
Absolutely.
that you said you had a bunch of mini relationships.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. When you learn about relationships from relationships.
Right.
Unfortunately. Because you'll go to the next relationship and you'll say, I'm not going to do that ever again. Or next time. See, that's where learning has taken, right? It's taken place. And then you says, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I learned. So after my marriage, I actually had a relationship that lasted 2 years that was almost equal or better than the 19 years of being married.
Wow.
Because I used everything that I learned from that marriage and that time frame in that next 2 year period.
Okay.
Everything I ever wanted to do in a relationship, I was able to do it. Because when you get so bad in a relationship, there's just some things you ain't going to do no more. You're just not going to jive anymore. You're not going to enjoy it anymore. And you're just going to take some things off the table. That's when you see it on the slide down, because you're not doing what you did in the beginning. So it's on its way out the door. So you have to be mindful that I learned from this relationship. Not just learn in a way you say, I'm never going to do things again. A woman who's married to a man and she cooked every day for him and he cheats on her and she says, I'll never cook again. He's already gone.
Right.
The next guy ain't got nothing to do with that.
Right.
But that's something you learn. Now you should address the idea of cheating, not the idea of taking something off the table that is positive. Because cooking is positive.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, because we get upset. We just like, I already know what I'm not going to do, and this is not going to happen. I'm never going to pay nobody's utility bills or anything like that because of the last person. Sometimes people need the help, but you have to measure that too. Wisdom will tell you to ask, well, what'd you pay? How'd you get it paid last month?
Right.
Right. I come along and you need a utility bill paid in my time? That don't make sense to me. But, those are things we have to be mindful of. And if we don't do it, then you'll find out that this relationship is going to get on that sliding board because you didn't do what you already learned. The unfortunate thing is you can be in a relationship so long you ain't learned nothing, but you've been in there 15 years. Now you have to come out while you're single is to learn everything that you missed in that 15 years pertaining to meeting someone new and evaluating someone new to make sure they're the person for you.
And that can be exhausting mentally.
Absolutely.
It can be exhausting mentally, especially when you come out of a relationship. Because I was married for 14 years. Yes. Well, I was with my ex-husband for 14 years, but we were only married for 5.
Yeah.
But we were together for 14 years.
Yeah.
However, after coming out of a 14-year relationship, it's, now you have to, sometimes you don't really relearn a whole lot if you just get back into another relationship.
Kinda. That would be. It would seem would be safe.
You learn some things. And some things do seem to be better.
And you lose some things.
But you lose some things as well.
And that's why when you're single, you have to gain them before you apply yourself to another relationship so you can be closer to whole. Because now you're going to do what? You're going to lose some weight. You're going to do some self-help. You're going to do some eating right. You're going to do so many things because it was falling off in that relationship. You was unhappy. You were miserable. And you were miserable for a time. And now when you become single, everything you ever thought you wanted to fix in your relationship, you can practice that while you're single.
That's so real.
Well, I always tell people I was horrible at listening. And one of the things I did was I went to YouTube. I tell this story all the time. I went to YouTube and I spent about an hour and a half watching videos on how to be a better listener. I didn't want to. I kept losing arguments.
Wow.
Because I wasn't paying attention. I was like 0-93. I could not win because I wasn't paying attention. So my listening skills are at a higher level now. So I know to listen to inflection in voices and what it really means to you instead of just, whatever, I heard you.
Right.
And then later, I found out that it was something important to her, but I never took it.
Right.
I never took it.
It wasn't important to you.
It was not important to me. So those things, that's why your relationship IQ is based on everything you learn all the way up until the end. How smart are you about relationships?
Exactly.
People who are married, you are a single wife, according to the book.
Right.
Right. And I am a single husband.
Right.
I understand husband duties. I understand husband responsibilities. And I can apply them for the right person.
Right.
But when you're single, you have no clue.
Yeah.
You when you're single, I'm sorry. When you're single, you have no clue. And you're learning those things and you're going through those relationships. And then one day you'll be exactly in the relationship you want to be in.
Right. It was something that you said about using that time to become whole.
Yes.
That is so necessary. That is what I got out of Be UnDumpable. Mm-hmm. And I think it might have been the 3rd chapter.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very relevant to my stage of life. That's why I said it felt like, as I was reading this book, like it was speaking directly to me because I'm like, yes, this is exactly where I am right now. I'm single. I'm rebuilding me. It's not about just jumping into any relationship because sometimes I could be a hopper. It's like you get out of one relationship and then you into, as soon as I came out of the 14-year relationship, about 4 months later, I was in another relationship that lasted about 7 years. About 7 years. So it's like I really didn't give myself time to heal. going from one to the next.
Right.
I just didn't give myself time to heal.
Right.
You know. So when you bring forth a cake that's half baked,
Hey, put your hands up. Freeze.